Hello guys, and welcome back to another video on the barn find 1979 and BMW E12 520. So in the previous video we got the rebuilt cylinder head reinstalled and that is all looking nice and fresh. But in this video it's now time to continue with the rebuilding of the engine. So first thing we need to do is get a new timing belt kit installed. So I have a fresh timing belt, new tensioner, new spring. We need to get that installed first to check that we have good oil pressure, to check that the oil pump that we cleaned and rebuilt, reinstalled is actually pumping oil to the top of the engine. So let's get on that first. So I did explain in the previous video how you time one of these M20 engines up. Relatively simple. On the camshaft gear you should have an arrow here that needs to point towards this line on the cylinder head, and then down here on the crankshaft itself I have marked it with some red paint now, but there is a small line there that needs to line up with that notch on the timing cover. So that's the crankshaft in time, that is the camshaft in time. We need to remove the original tensioner pulley, just held in by this bolt here, and then this guide bolt here as well. There is a pin with a spring. I am opting to replace this spring, so I have a new one here, genuine BMW. Then I have a timing belt kit here with the tensioner pulley as well. So yeah, first things first, let's get this old tensioner pulley removed. We are, that's both bolts removed. That's the tensioner pulley removed, and this is the pin and spring. We're going to be keeping the spring, just going to clean it up, but this spring is probably going to be good to go again, but as we have a new one we may as well replace it. Okay, so just gave the tensioner spring pin a bit of a clean up to install the new spring. We'll get our tensioner pulley inserted into position. So the tensioner spring pin, this end goes into a slot on the water pump, and then the other end, the pointy end of the spring pin, goes into a hole on the top of the tensioner pulley. And of course we can get our two bolts reinstalled. I'm just going to push the spring back a little bit just to put a bit of tension on it. As you can see, that's the new tensioner pulley in position. The spring is in just a little bit of tension. I've just pushed that back, tightened that up, and now we should be able to install the timing belt. So first of all, you want to make sure that all of the pulleys are free from any debris, dirt, oil or whatever, because that is going to stop the belt from seating properly. But yeah, I think I'm going to start with the crankshaft pulley, so we'll start at the bottom, get it around that first, and of course it has to go around the oil pump pulley. Then the back edge of the timing belt will go over the tensioner pulley, and then we should be able to slip it over the camshaft sprocket if we have enough slack, which it doesn't seem like we do at the moment, so I wonder if the belt is seated correctly. Okay, so this timing belt, this new timing belt is not going on. It's the incorrect part. So for the M20, turns out that there is, well, I was going to say two, but there's actually I think 3 or 4. I think there's like 2 that is for the E30 and onwards, probably for the injection engines. I think they're like 127 or 128 tooth belts, but for this particular one there is a 110 tooth and then there is a 111 tooth. Mine is the 111 tooth. Now, I knew that there was 2 different belts for this engine before I ordered it. I wanted to make sure that I got the correct one, so went on Real OEM, found the part number, and this matches the part number that I ordered. But the original belt that was fitted to this engine was a 111, but that was then superseded by the 110 tooth belt, so makes no sense. The genuine BMW part number, the 111 tooth belt doesn't exist anymore, so of course I've had to order an aftermarket one, so I should be collecting that up tomorrow. This is a Quinton Hazel one, QTB 251, but the one I need is QTB 104. So yeah, I'm going to wait for that to turn up and then we will be fitting that one. Okay, so some good news, managed to get a new timing belt, and this is the 111 tooth one, so this should be the one that we need. Yep, 111 times 1. Got very lucky actually. This time about here, it was in stock in my local motor factors, but it was the last one in stock. I don't mean last one in stock at that store, the last one in stock in the whole company, so I don't know how they'd get more, but yeah, very lucky to get the last one of that, of course. So I guess now we will try and fit this again. So the spring is already under tension, so it should just be a case of trying to slide this into position as we did before, and straight over the camshaft sprocket at the top there. Yeah, it's definitely quite slack, so I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I've took the tension off the spring and it's still pretty slack. That should not be like that. Strange. So, as you can see, new timing belt is on, and this is not the new 111 tooth one, this is the 110 tooth one. 111 tooth one, as you saw, it was very slack, and yeah, that's the incorrect one. This one seems the proper tension. You know, there is a little bit of slack there, but nothing major, you know, what you would expect from a timing belt. So you probably saw I couldn't get this on before, but if you turn the crank back a little bit, so a little bit before top dead center, it allowed you just to get it on and take up the slack from here, so the belt is not touching the timing cover, and then just about managed to slide it over, and as you can see, we are now, or we should now be ready to spin this engine over to see if we have any oil pressure. Okay, so first time spinning the engine over in 30 years. Yeah, it's gotten off. Yeah, it went off. Oh, pressure light went off.
You're right.
Yeah, there's definitely oil there now. So, we have oil pressure. Oil is definitely getting to the top of the head. The green stuff, that's just the pre-assembly lube, but yeah, you see the brown oil definitely reaching to the top of the head there. Also, when I spin it over, the oil pressure light goes off pretty much instantly. So we'll spin it over again. There you go, see how it's gone out? So then, now that we have the timing belt kit installed, the camshaft is in time, the crankshaft is in time, the distributor is in time, and we have oil pressure, we have oil coming to the top of the engine. We are now ready to proceed in getting this engine all put back together. So the distributor cap, that can go back on, the intake manifold along with the carburetor, that can all go back on, and everything that we need for this engine to run can all go back together. So we do have a few new parts, mainly gaskets. These are the original spark plugs, by the way, but as you can see, they've cleaned up pretty well, to be honest. You wouldn't know these are like 30 odd years old or whatever they may be, so I will be reusing them again, at least for the time being. We have a new oil filter, but of course I won't be swapping that out until we get the engine up and running. But we have a new rocker cover gasket, new intake gaskets. There's quite a few of these, one bigger one then a few of the smaller ones. This is just a exhaust gasket for where the manifold meets the rest of the exhaust pipe. What we have here, a little fuel filter, and then we have some gasket paper as well for various gaskets and things I need to make up. But yeah, I'm not going to bore you anymore. I'm just going to get things put back together and see how we're looking. Okay, so as you can see, intake manifold with the carburetor assembly is all now back on the engine. I am going to leave this one here. I'm going to leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger. In the next video we are going to see if this engine will fire up for the first time in 30 years. There's obviously quite a few things we need to check. You need to make sure there is good compression. You need to make sure we have spark. Air, not too concerned about, but of course we need to make sure we are also getting fuel through. We're not going to be using the original fuel system. We're probably just going to use some brake cleaner or something just to try and get this thing to fire into life. But like I said, that'll all be in the next video, so do stay tuned. As always, I want to thank you all for watching. Give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in that next one.